think we starting to watch the social decay of Black culture, and it's being accepted in such a way that's unhealthy. I respect Cardi B. Like, I liked her music. Like, I liked her as a artist. I liked her personality. But something like this, I look at it and I'm like, I'm not looking for you to be a role model for me at all. I'm looking for you to be a role model for them girls. Because right now the marriage rates are like 23% for Black families, right? And then once upon a time, it used to be 73%. Now, those numbers, when it comes to like fathers being involved with their children, are much higher than suggested by certain people online. I myself, as a Black father, I look at the situation of stuff like that and I'm like, damn, these little girls, like, they got it hard, man. Should be Judeo-Christian values. But what we're gonna get is toxic Black culture. Now, I'm not saying Black culture as a whole is toxic. I'm saying the toxic version of it. You know what I mean? Like families. Like, I watch stuff like that and I sit back and I think to myself, I'm like, damn, like Breakfast Club, like I rock with y'all, but man, like a lot of that junk y'all been bringing on there lately, and just how they tore in a Dame Dash, and then Dame's situation wind up not actually being, you know, credible, because I guess he's not the chairman of Revolt as he alleged he was, because then there's text message that he put out online and he said things to the effect of, where he had communication with the CEO of Revolt. And I'm like, okay, but you went on the Breakfast Club and you announced this, you know, like I understand that Revolt at one point was trying to sell what Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, whatever he goes by these days, Diddy, was trying to sell Revolt. And I know that there was some kind of structure sell-off in process. I don't know how that materialized, but Dame placed himself as a chairman. So I don't know what that's about. But my thing is, like, him going on Breakfast Club and representing himself the way he did, I feel like he did himself a disservice. I feel like he did himself as a businessman a disservice, because Dame Dash is a smart guy. Dame Dash is one of those individuals where, you know, when he talks business, he talk hustle, he talk the motivation around it, what the process is, the grind is, how you gotta, you know, dot your T's and cross your I's, or dot your T's and cross your, you know what I'm saying? Like, when putting this thing together, Dame Dash was one of the people that I personally looked to as a businessman early on, was like, all right, yeah, you gotta hustle a certain type of way. I don't agree with how Dame articulates himself, how he speaks to people, how he handles himself in that regard. But I do see it as like, dang, man, like this guy, he really could have been something monumental for Black culture. He still can. He still can. But I just think the way they played him on Breakfast Club was crazy. I think the way Charlamagne handled the questions was crazy. I think the way Dame went in and kind of like put red lines on certain ways of communication, like, yo, don't talk to me like this and don't like this. I mean, it made great TV. It made great YouTube. I think the views are like insane. But my thing is like, we need more Black leaders can show the process of failure and redemption. Like, I don't want nobody give me their testimony and they ain't been through nothing. Like, God will take you through things so you can get to something and you can have a testimony and explain the journey that he put you through so you can understand what he's taking you to. That's my thing. So for them to be in that space where they just all kind of had their guards up, I seen a lot of people in that conversation that was like just doing their job, and I seen someone that was fighting their case. And I feel like Dame Dash was that person who was fighting his case. I think he went down and he laid down his argument with Black culture. And I think that didn't really reflect for him that well. He should have held the fact that, hey, you know, I'm going to be the chairman of Revolt. Everything is ironed out, because it made everything that he tried to do after that just look so weak. You know what I mean? And he's not a weak individual, but I think right now he's desperate. You know, and for all the people out there calling Dame Dash broke, man, I think that's crazy, because Dame knows what it means to build $100 million company and then have to go from zero. He knows what that means. And I think there's value in that, because if you ever have people in business always telling you, yeah, it's always been great, it's always been a good time, you know, I'm a peacetime general, I'm not a wartime general. I think stuff like that is like toxic for the culture all the way around. And I think Dame represents a large part of business owners, small business owners that are in Black culture today that really can bring a lot of light, and a lot of people can avoid failure by having the wisdom that they share be available on platforms like this. That's why I'm making platforms like this. Like my journey in being, a digital marketer for the last 16 years and learning how this game go and playing it from a corporate level and then figuring out, hey, I need to do this for myself. I need to put myself out there. When I see cats like Dame Dash that has built something and then it has all came apart, I think with personal development, with building a business, it's about looking within yourself and trying to figure out how can you best serve? How can you best, honor God in that process? And what do you need to learn about yourself that prevented you from having these opportunities? And so when I see Dame go on there, I'm ready for him to have a win. I want him to win. I root for Dame Dash. I think Dame Dash is brilliant, but I think the way he sold his case on the Breakfast Club was a man of desperation and not a man of abundance. And that's with all due respect, sir. I tried to leave a comment on this page where he was alluding to that he was going to seek legal action against Charlemagne. And don't get me wrong, I'm a small fly, and I'm pretty sure he did not see my comment, but just the fact of there's people from within the culture that see you and be like, hey, you can be good for us as a people, but you rather fight a war against Charlemagne because Charlemagne is saying certain things about you and whatnot. I think these cats, if they came down, they sat down, and it was able to meet in the middle, they would be able to do some great stuff. But they're so egotistical. Like Charlemagne tries to portray himself as being someone that, has went through all this therapy and all those things. But what I see when I see Charlemagne, I see smoke and mirrors. And I think that working with somebody like Dame Dash, and Dame Dash alluded to some important aspects. Charlemagne doesn't reflect black masculinity. He doesn't, not in my book. But it doesn't mean he isn't a strong man. It just means that he's not representing the full spectrum of black men. And I don't think Envy represents that either. So when you see that show, I think you see two agreeable people, acceptable for like mainstream media, but I don't think they properly depict the energy of black business successful men that are on radio. I think they are one side to it. And I think that when Dave went on there, he had an opportunity to show people, hey, this is what I've been working on. You've seen me work on other projects. You've seen me build these businesses. You've seen shit. My teeth fall out. Dame Dash teeth fell out his mouth, which was crazy. You know what I mean? But he owned that. So you got to respect that. I think he's an honorable guy. I reiterate that. But I think with moving along from the whole Dame Dash thing, I think that in terms of the Breakfast Club as a whole, I feel like that platform is at a duel with each other. Like, it's like, okay, we feeding the culture, but at the same time, we need to make sure we keep getting these advertisers what they want, or giving them what they want and reaching as many numbers as possible. But at the same time, there's this little bit of poison that seeps through. And what I've been seeing with them is that they're starting to like feed into that more. I think it needs to be more content that's elevated that can put people on, man. Not just one side of the black perspective, the other side of the black perspective. Like we are not a monolith, So I think overall, from a business perspective, I think the platform is awesome. From a socio-economical perspective, it depicts the cracks in the culture. And I think it's really up to true leaders to recognize that and speak on that.